I'm married woman and my husband name is Daniel. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. When I married Daniel, I thought we had built something strong, something unbreakable. We had been together for nearly 10 years, navigating life's ups and downs, making memories and supporting each other through everything. I believed we were a team. Daniel had a best friend, Mark, who had been in his life long before I came into the picture. Mark was charming, confident, and the kind of person who could make anyone laugh. He had always been around, attending family gatherings, celebrating birthdays with us, and even offering advice when we needed it. I never had a reason to doubt him. But sometimes, the people we trust the most are the ones who betray us in ways we never see coming. It started as a simple plan, a weekend getaway with friends at a cabin near the lake. The idea was to escape city life for a few days, relax and enjoy nature. Daniel was excited and I too was looking forward to some time away. The first evening at the cabin was peaceful. We grilled food, shared drinks, and sat around a fire talking and laughing until late at night. Slowly, one by one, people began retreating to their rooms. Daniel, exhausted from driving, was the first to leave. I stayed up a little longer, enjoying the warmth of the fire and chatting with Mark. Our conversation felt easy, comfortable. I never imagined that a few hours later, my entire perception of him would change. At some point I began to feel lightheaded. Maybe it was the wine or maybe it was exhaustion, but my eyelids felt heavy. I decided it was time to sleep. I had no idea that my sleep would be interrupted in the worst possible way. I don't know how long I had been asleep when I felt it. A light touch. At first it seemed like a dream. A soft, careful brush against my leg. Then pressure. Fingers against my skin. And then, one slid inside. My body tensed. My mind, still groggy, struggled to process what was happening. For a brief moment I thought it was Daniel. But then as I blinked into the dim moonlight filtering through the curtains, I saw him. Mark. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, his face partially shadowed. His fingers had already withdrawn, but I knew what had just happened. My heart pounded so hard that I could hear it. I felt frozen in place, unsure if this was real or if I was still trapped in some horrible dream. Mark. My voice barely escaped my lips. He didn't look surprised. He didn't pull away in fear or embarrassment. Instead, he held my gaze, his expression unreadable. I thought you wanted this, he said, his voice disturbingly calm. A wave of nausea hit me. Wanted this? Did he think that my silence, my sleep, was an invitation? Rage and fear surged through me all at once. I jerked up, pulling the blanket around me. Get out, I whispered harshly, my voice trembling. For a moment he didn't move. He just smirked as if he found the whole situation amusing. Then, without another word, he got up and walked out. As soon as the door closed behind him, I scrambled to lock it, my hands shaking. My chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. My mind raced. What had just happened? I should have screamed. I should have woken up Daniel. But in that moment, all I could do was sit there in shock, my whole body trembling. The next morning I barely spoke. Mark acted as if nothing had happened. He laughed, joked with the others, and interacted with Daniel as if everything was normal. I felt sick watching him. I felt disgusted that he was still near me, still carrying on like he hadn't just invaded my space. I wanted to tell Daniel, but fear held me back. Would he believe me? Or would he dismiss it as a misunderstanding? That night, when Daniel wrapped his arms around me as we lay in bed, I wanted to push him away. I wanted to tell him how I felt violated, how his best friend had crossed a line that could never be undone. But the words wouldn't come out. I lay there in silence, suffocating under the weight of my own fear. For days I tried to pretend that everything was okay. But I wasn't okay. I felt distant, withdrawn. Every time Mark's name came up, my stomach twisted. One evening, as Daniel and I sat in the living room, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I took a deep breath and told him everything. I told him about waking up to Mark's touch, about the way he had looked at me, about the words he had spoken as if he had done nothing wrong. Daniel's face hardened as he listened. His jaw clenched, his fists tightening. I expected rage. I expected him to call Mark immediately, to demand an explanation. But instead he exhaled slowly and said, "Are you sure? Maybe it was just a misunderstanding." A misunderstanding. I stared at him, waiting for him to take it back. Waiting for him to see the hurt in my eyes. But he didn't. "Mark is my best friend," he continued, running a hand through his hair. "He wouldn't do something like that. Maybe you were dreaming. Or maybe he just had too much to drink." I felt something inside me break. My husband, the man who was supposed to protect me, was choosing to defend the man who had violated me. I couldn't believe it. "You think I imagined it?" My voice was barely above a whisper. "You think I would lie about something like this?" Daniel sighed. I don't know what to think." And that was all I needed to hear. He didn't believe me. He didn't trust me. I felt like a fool. That night I made a decision. I packed my bags, ignoring Daniel's questions, his pleas for me to stop. He wasn't the man I thought he was. Mark had taken something from me that I could never get back. "I can't stay with someone who doesn't believe me," I told Daniel as I stood by the door, my suitcase in hand. "I deserve better." And with that I walked away. From Mark. From Daniel. From a marriage that had already been broken beyond repair. For the first time in a long time I chose myself. And I never looked back. If you've ever been in a situation where someone violated your trust, know that you are not alone. You are not to blame. And most importantly, you deserve to be heard. I walked away because I refused to let someone else define my worth. If you ever find yourself in a similar situation, know that you have the strength to do the same. Like this video if you believe in self-worth. Comment your thoughts. What would you have done? Share this story to spread awareness. Subscribe for more real-life stories of strength and survival.